Heartwarming moment. Billionaire discovers a little girl's pain and unveils an incredible life-changing opportunity. Daniel Matthews strolled through the familiar streets of his childhood town, where memories danced like autumn leaves in the crisp air. This was the place where his parents had worked tirelessly, fueled by love and an unrelenting drive to give him a better life. He was a self-made billionaire now, yet with every step, nostalgia wrapped around him like a favorite old sweater, both warm and bittersweet. In the midst of this charity event, set up under the town's vibrant oak trees, he saw the townsfolk gathered, faces lit with hope and excitement. But as he watched, something deeper pulled at his heart. This town bore the weight of struggles masked by smiles, memories of community bonds that had once flourished. Turning a corner, he froze, captivated by a little girl standing in front of a brightly colored canvas, a 10-year-old with a shining but anxious smile. Her name was Mia. Mia's artwork was alive with swirling colors, dreams painted across her canvas, dreams that juxtaposed her family's harsh reality. She stood alone, yet her spirit seemed to leap from the art. Daniel's heart tightened as he recalled his own childhood, where dreams felt tangible, nurtured amongst neighbors who shared laughter, hopes, and a fierce support for one another. The charity event buzzed to life, bringing Mia's artwork into the spotlight. She showcased her bright colors, weaving stories that enveloped the audience. But then, a miscommunication erupted around financial donations. Voices rose in frustration, and glances shifted uncomfortably. Daniel felt a wave of shame wash over him, feelings of disconnect crashing down, a reminder of his luxurious lifestyle at odds with their daily struggles. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. When the tension peaked, Mia's small voice cut through the crowd, steady and vibrant. Please, she began, clutching her artwork. This isn't just paint. Her words hung in the air, vibrant with a plea for recognition. It's about my family and every family here. We all have dreams, don't we? She scanned the crowd, beaming hope while they murmured back, unsure, their feelings laid bare. Daniel watched, a swell of emotion filling his chest. Here was this brave girl, battling through her own life, representing a community that he once belonged to. He realized he stood at a crossroads. Should he throw down a hefty donation that could change Mia's life now? Or invest in broader initiatives that could help uplift an entire town? As the crowd shifted expectantly, Mia turned her gaze upon him, eyes wide with both fear and hope, the question between them growing louder yet unspoken. Would he step up for her and so many others, or would he let them remain silent, their cries for support drowned by the echoes of routine? The air vibrated with that tension, leaving everyone breathless, anticipating the weight of Daniel's decision, a choice that lingered over them like a thick fog, teetering on the edge of transformation. The moment hung heavy in the air. Daniel felt a flutter of anxiety in his stomach. All eyes turned to him, their expressions a mix of hope and uncertainty, as if he held the key to their futures. He could feel the tug of old loyalties and new responsibilities clashing within him. Mia kept her gaze steady, a small part of her tiny frame filled with determination. Mr. Matthews, she said softly, you can help us. You can help me. Her voice broke through Daniel's internal struggle like a splash of cold water. He thought of his childhood, of small moments when his parents had fought for something bigger than themselves. They had always believed in lifting others alongside them. Wasn't that why he had returned to this town? To give back? Taking a deep breath, Daniel stepped forward. The crowd shifted slightly, every eye following his movements. I know times are tough, he began, his voice calm yet resonating with urgency. And I've seen firsthand the power of community, how love and support can create change. A hushed silence fell over the gathering. He glanced at Mia, who was gripping her canvas tightly, her paint-smeared hands trembling slightly. The smile on her face was still there, but it was tinged with vulnerability. He continued, "I don't want to just hand over money. Would you let me help you build something more lasting? An art program? Workshops for the kids? A place where creativity can thrive?" Murmurs buzzed through the crowd, a mixture of surprise and excitement. Mia's eyes widened, brimming with hope. Daniel could see the flicker of dreams igniting within her. "What do you think?" he asked, addressing the crowd. "We could create a space that nurtures talent, inspires growth, and will it help our families?" A voice from the back shouted, interrupting him. He hesitated for a moment but found a spark of confidence deep within. "Yes, it's about more than art. It's about empowerment. If we build a space that brings everyone together, we can create jobs, support local businesses, and foster connection." The crowd shifted, and Daniel could feel the wave of hope building among them. Mia stepped forward, her small voice now steady and strong. "It would mean everything. We all want to dream. We want to feel safe and know we're not alone in this." The corners of Daniel's mouth lifted in a smile. He had been worried about making the right choice, but standing here, his heart began to beat in sync with the townspeople. They needed a home for their ambitions, a support system through which they could thrive. As he looked into Mia's eyes, Daniel made his decision. "Let us make this happen. Together." Cheers erupted from the crowd, filled with exhilaration and disbelief. Daniel could hardly believe the rush of emotions sweeping through him, warmth flooding his chest as he watched smiles light up the faces around him. But just as the joyful noise filled the air, Daniel's phone buzzed in his pocket, snapping him back to reality. Frowning, he pulled it out and glanced at the screen. The message was unexpected, a terse note from his business advisor. "Regarding your recent investments, we need to talk." The excitement began to drain from the moment. Daniel's shoulders tensed, a stark contrast to the happiness surrounding him. He was finally ready to invest in something real, something that mattered, but now a storm was brewing in his professional life. As he looked toward the cheerful faces in front of him, a simmering fear gnawed at him. Just how would he balance the two worlds? What would happen if his commitments pulled him away from this promise of hope he had just made? What did this mean for Mia and the chance to help those who needed it most? The light-hearted celebrations continued, but Daniel felt the weight of uncertainty settle over him. In that moment, he faced a crossroads again, one that could define not just his future, but the future of an entire community. The music of the celebration dimmed as he stepped away, heart racing. What would he choose when the moment came to confront the very real consequences of his past decisions? The cheers around Daniel felt like a world away. The laughter and excitement of the crowd faded into a dull roar, his focus narrowing on the tiny screen in his palm. The message blinked ominously, casting shadows over the warmth that had just flooded through him. He had been ready to embrace this new beginning for the town, but the weight of his past loomed larger. Mia's voice broke through the fog. "Mr. Matthews?" she asked, her brow furrowed with concern. He looked up into her wide, innocent eyes, feeling the deep connection they had just formed begin to fray. "Yeah, I'm here," he replied, forcing a smile back to his face. "Just a moment." He turned slightly, still gripping the phone like it was a lifeline. The surrounding laughter felt hollow now, a stark reminder of how quickly everything could change. "Is everything okay?" Mia pressed, her tiny hands still clutching her paintbrush. He could see her joy wane as doubt pulled at her. Of course, he couldn't tell her the truth. Not now. Not when she was ready to believe in him and in herself. But as he glanced over her shoulder, watching the townspeople gather around, discussing possibilities, plans, and dreams, a knot tightened in his stomach. The truth was that his business obligations could pull him back to the life he had tried to escape. Investment meetings, profit margins, and spreadsheets filled up his mind. Would he have to choose between them? Would he abandon this community for the cold calculations that once ruled his life? "Hey Mia, let us focus on that workshop idea." He tried to redirect the conversation. "What do you think we should include? Paints? Canvas? Anything special?" Her face lit up again, a glimmer of determination returning to her eyes. We could have lessons with different artists, and maybe a garden where we can paint nature. The innocence of her aspirations tugged at his heart. Right? A garden, he echoed, leaning into the positivity. But the nagging anxiety gnawed at him. What if his voice dropped? What if I can't stay here to see it through? Mia's brow wrinkled in confusion. You have to stay. You promised. He looked at her. Really looked at her. Realizing that she wasn't just a little girl with a dream. She was the embodiment of hope for every person here. I know, he murmured. And I want to. I really do. The sound of laughter drew him back to the crowd, the voices enthusiastic as they began to organize roles and responsibilities. But he felt disconnected, the gap between the urgency of their dreams and his reality growing wider every moment. Then, a familiar figure stepped forward, drawing his attention. Rosa, a strong community leader and mother of 3, took a step toward him. Daniel, she said, her voice steady yet full of warmth, we need your help. You're the beacon we've been looking for. The cheers from the crowd grew in volume again, and Daniel felt the pull of their hopes strengthening, intertwining with the fears he held. The recognition was profound. He had been given another chance to do something more than just make money. But as responsibility tugged at his sleeves, he swallowed back the rising tide of doubt. Absolutely, he declared, voice steady now, the power of the community behind him igniting a fire in his chest. Count me in. Let us build something amazing together. But just as the crowd erupted again in spirited cheers, a heavy thought abandoned his heart. What if he couldn't fulfill that promise? What would happen if he had to walk away? As the townspeople celebrated their newfound hope, Daniel felt the impending clash of his worlds grow alarmingly close. He looked at Mia, her smile bright, filled with naive trust. The storm approaching from the business world whispered warnings he couldn't ignore. In that moment, he learned something fundamental: he was no longer alone. But could he dare to stake everything on a community that needed him so desperately? And as the joy radiated around him, a different kind of urgency started to settle. What would he choose in that vital moment when everything hung in the balance? And what if the choices he made now altered not just his life, but the course for countless others? The weight continued to press against his chest, creating a clamor that echoed through the joyful noise. But amidst that doubt, one thought lingered. What would happen if he reclaimed his life for the sake of others? How far could those dreams reach? The crowd's energy surged around Daniel, wrapping him in a warmth he craved yet felt unworthy of. He hadn't expected to feel so much here. But the lightness was accompanied by shadows, dark memories creeping back in as the phone in his pocket buzzed again. A reminder of the looming decision waiting for him. Mr. Matthews! Mr. Matthews! A chorus of voices pulled him back. His gaze shifted, focusing on a group of children running toward him, faces bright with excitement. Over their heads, he glimpsed Rosa giving him an encouraging nod. They believed in him. But could he say the same for himself? Can we start painting now? One boy asked, hands twitching with unspent energy. Yeah. Can we make our garden today? Another cut in, his face alive with hope. Daniel squatted to meet them at eye level, smiling through the tension that buzzed in his chest. Of course. But first, let us talk about what we want to put in that garden. Any ideas? His breath hitched. They could help steer this project, and their dreams could lead him, too. It should have sunflowers. And strawberries. Another girl exclaimed, her hands mimicking the growth of the flowers as she jumped on her toes. Those are great ideas. And maybe we can even add some benches where people can sit and paint. What do you think? He could see their enthusiasm grow, tangible and infectious. Their laughter swirled around him like a warm breeze, yet the weight in his heart remained. With every smile, with every laugh, came the reminder of what loomed on the horizon. The fear that darkness could fall over this moment, perhaps in a heartbeat. Mia, he drew the girl closer who had first believed in him. What do you really want from all this? Why is the workshop so important to you? She paused, her little face turning serious, small hands clasped tightly. I see how sad some of our friends are. Painting helps us be happy. Her earnestness pierced through the knots in his heart, the truth about their aspirations resonating deeply. "That's right," Daniel said slowly, understanding now stretching beyond his own fears. "Creating this workshop is more than just painting on a canvas. It's about making a place full of happiness for everyone." His promise to them became clearer, yet the shadowy specter of his business obligations was still there, whispering doubts into his ear. Just then, he heard soft sobs drift through the crowd, pulling his attention away. Moving toward the source, Daniel's heart sank as he found a young girl seated on the grass, her head buried in her knees. "Why are you crying?" he asked gently, kneeling beside her. "They said we don't have enough money for paint." She choked out, her voice muffled. His chest tightened further. "God, no, that couldn't be right. No. We'll fix that," he reassured her, but uncertainty knotted inside him. He glanced back at the jubilant faces of the crowd. They were all counting on him. Their happiness depended on a fragile thread woven through his choices. "Everyone," he called out, turning to the crowd that had gathered, now quiet and watching. "We will find a way to get the supplies. Together we can make this happen." Cheers erupted, but he felt small, the enormity of their hopes settling on his shoulders. Could he balance their dreams while reconciling with his past? The question settled in his mind like a storm cloud threatening rain, darkening the horizon. Daniel straightened, meeting Mia's gaze again. Her faith in him felt like a fire igniting courage deep inside. What if he could be the answer to their dreams, the bridge between his past and this new life he hadn't realized he wanted? "I promise you this," he said, voice firm, "we will make this garden and this workshop a reality." A loud cheer erupted as he felt the community rally, but in the back of his mind, the sobering weight of the other life he had left behind lingered, refusing to vanish. Could he truly dedicate himself to this new path? And how much farther would that commitment take him from his past? The sneakers of children, paired with dream-filled imaginations, marked a new stride in Daniel's path, yet he remained on the precipice of his choice. As laughter circled again, he realized the only thing stronger than his fears was their belief. But what if the choices of today created ripples that altered their fates forever? The next pivotal moment awaited him just ahead, and the future felt both terrifying and thrilling. Daniel felt a rush of adrenaline as the cheers of the crowd swelled around him. He stood, heart racing, uncertain yet invigorated. The children rushed past him, leaping into action, gathering supplies, and drawing vibrant plans for their garden. Their joy was infectious, and for a moment, he lost himself in their laughter. But beneath the festive atmosphere, the shadows loomed larger. The phone in his pocket buzzed again, its persistent reminder weighing heavily on him. The choices he faced could tear this fragile happiness apart. His past clung to him, heavy like a cloak he couldn't shake off: business obligations, looming deadlines, and debts that needed addressing. "Are you really going to make it happen?" Rosa's voice broke through his thoughts, grounding him. She approached, hands on her hips, her expression a mix of encouragement and concern. "I have to try," he said, his voice edged with uncertainty. Rosa stepped closer. "They believe in you, Daniel. Don't let them down. But don't forget, you have your life to think about too." The warmth from the children around him collided with the chill of his worries. They were looking at him like he was the answer to their dreams, yet he felt like he was standing on a tightrope, swaying dangerously. "I know it just feels like so much right now." As the kids began to gather materials, Daniel found himself at a barren patch of dirt. Gritting his teeth, he turned his thoughts back to the young girl who had cried earlier. Determination surged within him. "This garden is going to be amazing," he mumbled, almost to himself. "Mr. Matthews," Mia called out, pushing through the throng, arms overflowing with colored markers and sheets of paper. "Look at all we can do." Her enthusiasm cut through the fog of his worries, and he couldn't help but smile as he accepted her offerings. "Let us make a plan," he said, gathering children around him. "What will our garden look like?" He drew rough sketches in the dirt, and their ideas painted vivid images in the air. "Bubbles! Let's make a bubble corner," one girl shouted excitedly. "Fairy lights! "We need fairy lights for nighttime," another chimed in. Daniel's heart swelled seeing their imaginations transform mere dirt into an oasis of dreams. Each child contributed ideas, their laughter harmonizing into a soundtrack of hope. But his mind couldn't shake the reality waiting for him. Would he be able to support them as he promised? As if sensing his hesitation, Rosa placed a hand on his shoulder. "You're doing this for them, right?" Yeah, I am." Felt good to say it out loud, almost like a promise. He surveyed the merry chaos around him, tiny hands pulling weeds, petals fluttering through the air, and sun-drenched faces soaking in the joy of creation. In those moments, it almost felt possible to let go of the past. But the phone buzzed again, reminding him of deadlines that beckoned like shadows, persistent and undeniable. "Can we plant some herbs?" A little boy ventured, tugging at Daniel's sleeve. "Mom loves cooking with fresh herbs." "Absolutely. Let us grow basil, parsley, and mint," Daniel replied, feeling the shift within him. Could nurturing this garden help him find a way to heal his own heart? He had never thought of painting as an escape, yet now, he saw the connection before him, a path of hope mingled with paint splatters and soil stains. But just as they began to lay out the foundations of their dreams, a familiar figure appeared at the edge of the crowd. Daniel's heart jumped. His business partner, Roger. The man's expression, as he scanned the joyful scene, was mixed with disbelief and disapproval. "What are you doing here, Daniel?" Roger called, his voice slicing through the enchantment like a knife. "We need to talk about the meeting. You can't just run off to play gardener." Daniel felt the laughter of the children fade for a moment, reality crashing in like waves. Would he be forced to choose between his past and this vivid new life? As the weight of the moment bore down on him, the hopefulness in the children's faces pulled him back, igniting a flame of defiance in his chest. "Can't you see?" he shot back, anger mingling with desperation. "This is everything. I can't just walk away." The crowd fell silent, all eyes on him and Roger. Tension crackled in the air, but Daniel stood firm, a warrior defending the joy he had just committed to creating. What would he do now? Would he choose the past, or would he take a leap into the unknown where hope blossomed? As he faced Roger, the next chapter of his journey began to unfold, each choice guiding him closer to the man he needed to be or pulling him back down to what he had always known. The silence hung heavy in the air, pregnant with tension. Daniel could feel a bead of sweat trickle down his back as he faced Roger. It was as if the shouts and cheers of the children had dimmed, leaving just the two of them standing on a precipice. "Daniel, we have deadlines to meet. Your future is at stake." Roger's voice was sharp, unyielding. The kids shifted uneasily, sensing the conflict. Daniel stole a glance at their expectant faces, a tapestry of hope and innocence. How could he explain to them that his past loomed like a dark cloud above their budding dreams? But he felt it, the blossoming connection to something bigger than himself captured in their laughter and aspirations. "Roger," he replied, steadying his voice, "this is more than just a business meeting. This is about community, about helping these kids feel seen. They need this garden, and frankly, I do too. Get your priorities straight, Daniel. You can't just walk away from your responsibilities." Roger barked, frustration evident in his tone. But Daniel was done. Something had shifted within him. "I didn't walk away. I'm choosing to stand here with them." He took a deep breath. "You love talking about profits and losses, but what about the joy we can create? What about the impact we can have on these lives?" The crowd stirred, some children leaning closer, eyes wide. Others murmured softly, emboldened by Daniel's words. "Mr. Matthews, we believe in you," Mia shouted, her small voice cutting through the tension. A chorus of affirmations erupted from the group, and Daniel felt his heart swell. Did they really believe in him? Did they see something in him he couldn't yet see? But Roger's face tightened, unyielding. "You can't afford to get distracted, Daniel. Think about the meetings, the investors. They won't wait for you to play hero in a community garden." Daniel glanced back at the dirt pile they had just begun to transform. He could almost see at this time a vibrant patch alive with fruits, veggies, and flowers, a symbol of hope for these kids. Each sprout would mirror the courage he had to find within himself to confront the life he was choosing to leave behind. Not a hero, he said quietly, yet the fire was igniting within him. Just a guy who wants to help. If I lose everything chasing after this, then maybe it was worth it. It's time to find out. With determination igniting his voice, he added, I can't put a price on this, on the smiles, on the laughter we can create together. Roger, you have a choice too. But I'm not backing down. The tension hung between them like the calm before a storm, and Daniel could see whispers starting among the kids. They watched, wide-eyed, as if the fate of the garden rested on what would happen next. Roger glanced between Daniel and the children, uncertainty dancing in his eyes for the first time. In those moments that stretched like eternity, Daniel felt the air shift. Let us do it, Roger finally said, albeit grudgingly, his voice softer. But you'll have to find a way to juggle both. This can't be an excuse to ignore the business. The kids erupted in cheers. Daniel couldn't help but smile, though it felt like the bitter taste of victory. Relief washed over him, but beneath it, doubt lingered like a shadow. Could he truly balance these two worlds? But that was the thrill of it, wasn't it? The unknown, just waiting to be explored. And perhaps, amid the dirt and dreams, he would also discover himself. As the children's laughter enveloped him once more, another buzz emanated from his pocket, almost drowning out the joyful noise around him. He hesitated, heart racing, before pulling out his phone. What news awaited him now? Was it another reminder of the business world he was desperate to shed? Or something else, something that could alter the course he had just set? With every pulse of the phone, a new challenge loomed on the horizon. Would it be the final blow to what he was starting? Or a key that could unlock doors he never knew existed? He took a deep breath, glancing back at the eager faces surrounding him. He was ready for whatever came next. The buzzing grew louder, a heartbeat echoing in his hand as he stared at the screen. Daniel's breath hitched. It was from his sister, Claire. He fumbled to unlock it, the cheerful laughter of the children swirling around him, creating a stark contrast to the tightening grip of fear in his chest. Daniel, I need you. It's about Mom. Please call me back. Hot knots twisted in his stomach. Memories rushed back his mother's laughter, the way she used to tuck him in at night, her soft voice soothing his fears away. But the last few years had been hard. She hadn't been the same since the diagnosis. The reality of her illness loomed like a shadow he couldn't escape. And now this message felt like a collision of worlds, a reminder that no garden could bloom without roots anchoring it. Daniel? Mia stood beside him, her voice small but steady. She tugged at his shirt, pulling his attention back to her beaming face. Are we really going to plant the garden? Like right now? His heart broke under the weight of conflicting emotions. He wanted to be with her, to help these kids cultivate their dreams, to show them that life can be beautiful in the simplest of ways. Yet he felt the pull of family, his roots. Yeah, we are. Just give me a minute, okay? He nodded to reassure her, though the uncertainty gnawed at him. Mia's wide eyes filled with hope, and it struck him again just how invested these kids were in him. What would they think if he abandoned them now, even for family? I'll be back, he promised, though the words sounded hollow even to him. He retreated a few steps, needing space to think, to breathe. He could still hear the delighted giggles, the shovels thumping against the dirt, the vibrant life surrounding him. But the tension pulled him in the other direction, pushing him toward that unspoken family crisis. Daniel stepped away, staring down at his phone. Should he call her back now? Was it even wise to distract himself from the garden, from these kids, from his own newfound purpose? Are you okay? Roger approached cautiously, an unexpected frown etching his features. Uncharacteristically, he dropped the business facade. You're not looking so hot. I can't do this and that at the same time, Daniel admitted, motioning toward the kids who were busy digging, laughing, pouring themselves into the project. His heart ached at the thought of leaving them. They had believed in him right when he needed it, and now, on the very cusp of transformation, would he really risk it all? Maybe you don't have to, Roger suggested, his voice softer. Think about delegating. You could still be here, a part of it, while checking in on your family. Could he? The idea flickered and danced in his mind, tempting him with the promise of balance. He could face the looming family crisis and still maintain this connection. Instinctively, he glanced at Mia and the others, their energy fueling his resolve. Okay, let us try that, Daniel decided, drawing in strength from the supportive cheers surrounding him. I can do both. As he said it, a flicker of hope ignited within his chest, warming the uncertainty that had taken root. Before he could think twice, he punched in Claire's number. The ringing echoed loudly against the bustling cheer around him. It swallowed him in a bubble of anxiety. Each ring was a timer counting down until he would have to face whatever was waiting on the other side. When she finally picked up, there was something swirling in her voice, a mixture of relief and desperation. Daniel, it's bad. The laughter of the children dimmed in his ears, and he felt all the color drain from the world around him. What awaited him on the other end of this call? Was he about to enter a battle for his family? Or would this moment change everything again like the garden he hoped to cultivate? Suddenly, everything felt impossibly intertwined, and he could only wonder, would it be enough? Daniel Claire's voice was shaky, a fragile thread pulling at his heart. It's Mom. She took a turn for the worse last night. The doctor said we need to talk about her care. Daniel's pulse quickened, the atmosphere thickening with every syllable. His palms grew sweaty as the laughter faded into a haunting echo, leaving only the throbbing reality of his mother's condition. How bad is it? The words tumbled out, raw and desperate. I don't know. She's in and out of consciousness. I think she can hear us, but Claire paused, her breath hitching. I don't think she knows who we are most of the time. I'm scared, Daniel. He felt as if the ground beneath him was crumbling, slipping away into an abyss. Thoughts of his mother, the woman who had molded his childhood, who had stood by him when he stumbled, now drowned in a swath of uncertainty. Could he really be facing the possibility of losing her? What do you need me to do? His voice was steadier than he felt. Just come home, she pleaded, and Daniel could sense the tears in her voice. We need you here. We have to make some decisions. I will, but I want to do it right. I want to honor her, he replied, the weight of responsibility and love swirling in his chest. It felt wrong to disconnect from the light-hearted chaos of the garden. Yet the shadows of his family were equally demanding. Just hurry. Okay? As they ended the call, Daniel stood there, feeling lost. The giggles and shouts of the kids still rang in the air, but their joy now seemed like an alien world. Mia approached him, clutching a small trowel, her cheerful spirit untouched by the heaviness looming above him. Daniel, are you coming? She asked, tilting her head in confusion. We need you to help plant the sunflowers. He forced a smile, not wanting to crush her enthusiasm. Yeah, I will. Just give me a second. He returned to the kids, but his mind was elsewhere. A part of him wished he could vanish into Mia's innocent laughter, to let the stresses wash away with the soil. He knelt beside her, forcing focus on the task. Each scoop of dirt, each seed dropped into the earth carried with it a desperate wish. A wish for healing. A wish for time. Mia, did you know that sunflowers turn to face the sun as they grow? Daniel asked, trying to distract his swirling thoughts. She nodded, wide-eyed. Like they're always looking for the happy stuff. Exactly, he said, finding comfort in her innocence. Just like us, we gotta find the bright side in everything. But could he really, when the heaviness of his own heart felt like a storm cloud? Roger appeared at his side, watching him with concern. Hey, you alright? Not really. The words came unfiltered. He couldn't hold back anymore. My mom is. I'm sorry, Daniel. This is tough, Roger replied, his tone softening. You need to do what's best for you. We can handle the garden. Thanks, Daniel murmured, the warmth of camaraderie lifting a small weight off his shoulders. With a deep breath, he glanced back toward the children. They were planting seeds with determination, laughter and excitement in every movement. The contrast was striking and, for a moment, a flicker of hope ignited. Could he find a way to balance this? Hey, everyone, Daniel called out, feeling a surge of enthusiasm from deep within. Let us make a deal. Every flower that grows here will remind us to share joy, even when things get tough. The children cheered, their voices ringing with life. In their innocent belief, Daniel felt a comfort wrap around him. If he could foster their light while facing his own shadows, maybe that would be enough. But as he turned back toward the soil, determination ignited a new question in his heart. What if he couldn't keep these roots from pulling in opposite directions? As they planted, an unexpected rustle nearby caught his attention. A shadow shifted among the bushes just outside the garden's line. What or who was lurking there? Daniel felt his heart race again, an unfamiliar tension rising. Daniel turned slowly, his eyes narrowing as he tried to peer through the dense foliage. The laughter of the children faded into a distant murmur, replaced by the quickening beat of his heart. Curiosity mingled with a hint of fear. He glanced back at Mia, then back to the rustling. Mia, he whispered, stay close. Okay? The little girl, oblivious to his mounting concern, knelt in the dirt, her small hands coated in soil as she fixed her attention on the seed she planted. The adults around him were too engrossed in their own tasks to notice the shift in his demeanor. The bushes rustled again, and Daniel's breath caught. Who's there? His voice was firmer than he felt, echoing slightly in the quiet garden. Silence hung in the air, taut and palpable. A moment passed before a small figure emerged from the shadows, a girl, no older than Mia, her clothes tattered and dusty, her expression one of hesitant curiosity. Daniel's heart ached at the sight. This little girl looked lost, much like how he felt. Hey there, he called softly. It's okay. You can come out. The girl hesitated, her eyes wide, darting around as if gauging whether it was safe to approach. Finally, she took a tentative step forward, and Daniel noticed how thin she was. The sight sent a pang of worry deep into him. I didn't mean to scare you, she stammered, looking up at him with uncertainty. I saw the flower seeds. Do you like flowers? Daniel asked, crouching down to her level to bridge the gap between them. She nodded slowly, her mistrust easing slightly. They're pretty. I used to help my mom plant them. The mention of her mom ignited a stream of understanding within him. I'm planting sunflowers too, just like you did. Want to help? The girl's face lit up with a hesitant smile, and she stepped a little closer. Okay. Mia glanced at Daniel, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Can she help us too? Of course, Daniel replied, and for a moment, the heaviness in his chest lifted. With the weight of his mother's condition pressing down on him, this small joy felt like a breath of fresh air. They guided her to the patch the kids had started. Daniel handed her a trowel, and for the first time, he saw a flicker of joy in the little girl's eyes as she dug into the earth. It was a simple act, but it sparked something in him too, a reminder that kindness, even in small moments, could grow into something beautiful. As they worked together, a sense of camaraderie built around them. The other children welcomed her, and soon laughter bubbled up once more, filling the garden with life. He watched them, their faces flushed with excitement as they shared stories of their favorite flowers. Daniel's heart swelled with gratitude, realizing how quickly joy can be cultivated even in dark times. And yet, his thoughts drifted back to his mother. Would she ever be able to share moments like this again? The little girl paused, looking up at him with those big, soulful eyes. Why do you look sad? Daniel hesitated, searching for the right words. Sometimes the people we love get sick, and it makes us worried. But we have to keep nurturing the good things, just like planting these flowers. She nodded knowingly, as if she understood more than her small frame suggested. We can plant more flowers together. That will help. Yes, it will, he replied, feeling a weight shift just slightly off his shoulders. There was solace in sharing this moment. But as they continued planting, he couldn't shake off the feeling that the shadow lurking just out of sight hadn't disappeared. The rustling returned once more, this time more pronounced, causing his pulse to race anew. What more could disrupt their fragile peace? A second glance at the bushes confirmed his fears. This time, The rustle was undeniably accompanied by a deeper, more foreboding presence. Daniel's heart raced as he prepared himself for whatever was about to emerge. Would it be another innocent face? Or something darker lurking behind the blooms of hope? The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm golden hue as Daniel braced himself, stealing against whatever the shadows might reveal. The children had caught wind of the rustling too, their laughter faltering as they turned toward the thicket. Mia, wide-eyed with curiosity, clutched her small trowel, frozen in place next to him. The atmosphere shifted from joyful exuberance to palpable tension, each child sensing the change. It felt like the world hung on the precipice. But then, as if on cue, a scruffy dog emerged from the bushes, a mutt with a wagging tail and a coat speckled with dirt. Laughter erupted from the children, a collective exhale of relief washing over them. The dog trotted forward, weaving through their legs like a cloud of boundless energy, tail wagging in a flourish almost as if to say, "I'm here to join the fun." Daniel knelt down, scratching behind the dog's ears, heart lightening with each greeting bark. The laughter of the children danced through the air like music. Here was joy, unfiltered and instinctive, a simple reminder that despite all life's chaos, happiness flourished in unexpected moments. "Can I pet him?" The little girl who had emerged from the bushes asked shyly, eyes wide with wonder. "Of course," Daniel encouraged, motioning for her to approach the playful pup. The dog responded instantly, bounding toward her, tail wagging furiously. Her hesitance melted away as she laughed, reaching out to pat the soft fur. The scene felt like a balm against the tumult in his heart. Here in this garden, every small act of kindness grew roots strong enough to weather life's storms. But even amid the joy, Daniel couldn't fully shake the weight of his mother's condition. Memories of her laughter echoed in his mind, her warm embrace a precious comfort that seemed a world away now. The anxiety still flickered within him like a distant storm looming on the horizon. "Mia," he said softly, crouching down to her level, "I need you to promise me something." "Anything," she answered eagerly, cutting through the heaviness with her infectious enthusiasm. "If something happens and I need to leave," his voice faltered, uncertainty swelling in his chest. "Will you keep planting these flowers and taking care of everyone? Can you be the light for them?" "I promise," Mia declared, her eyes bright and unwavering. "We'll make this place beautiful. And we'll tell your mom all about it when she gets better." A rush of gratitude swelled within Daniel, a burst of warmth spreading through his chest. In her words, he found a flicker of hope, a connection to the family he longed to support, and the community he refused to abandon. For the first time that day, doubts about his ability to nurture both worlds began to dissipate, replaced by a conviction that he could somehow do both. The little girl, finally settling beside Mia, filled the air with excitement. "Let us plant bright flowers. They'll cheer everyone up." The energy pulsed, reminding him of how powerful hope could be. As they all celebrated this newfound companionship, Daniel couldn't help but be drawn into the moment. His doubts about the future tightened ever so slightly, but were overwhelmed by the laughter surrounding him, the beauty of the budding garden. Small petals were an anchor against the chaos, but then another message buzzed in his pocket. Gritting his teeth, Daniel resisted the urge to pull out his phone, knowing it would only pull him away from where he needed to be. But as the children happily ran around, squeals of joy ringing in the air, he felt the pull of duty mix seamlessly with his growing desire for connection. For now, he chose to stay anchored in this moment. The garden demanded nurturing. It had become a part of him and the community's fragile web of hope. "Let us get back to work," Daniel called out to the children, waving away the shadows cast by his responsibilities. The whirring cries of laughter returned as he focused on the task ahead, sinking his hands into the cool earth. "Together!" they all shouted, unified in a chorus of optimism as they dug, planted, and watered each act, transforming despair into vibrant life. But with every seed they placed in the ground, Daniel vowed to himself anew. He would do whatever it took to keep that garden thriving. He would embrace the challenge life threw at him, even if it meant choosing between the past and future. Each flower that blossomed would stand as a testament, a symbol of resilience woven into the fabric of their community and his own heart. As the sun began to set, painting the horizon in shades of orange and pink, Daniel felt a wave of clarity sweep over him. The future may be uncertain, but one thing was sure: he had people depending on him, and he wasn't going anywhere. He would nurture the dreams of childhood, plant the roots of community, and perhaps in doing so, he would find a path of hope for himself. The next day, he would face whatever awaited him at home. But for tonight, he would be right here, surrounded by laughter, love, and the potent magic of transformation. And as he looked at the children, Mia, the little girl who had joined them, and the others, he couldn't help but smile. Together, they were planting more than just flowers. They were forging bonds strong enough to conquer the shadows of life's uncertainties. This was it. This was the moment where everything began anew. And as the starlit sky twinkled above them, he knew deep down that he would fight for this, a beacon of light in a world that often felt too dark. Everyone, Daniel raised his voice with conviction, let us keep dreaming together. Through the ripples of laughter that surrounded him, he knew that together, they would face whatever storms might come, and nothing could dim the light they were cultivating. Whatever he faced next, they would face it together.